Hello, this is Gabrielle from PBS. Joining us today is Nicolo Machiavelli.
Hello, Gabrielle.
Hello, Nick. Nick has traveled really far to be with us today. He's literally traveled across time to be here and talk about his work on politics. Well, specifically the Prince.
I thought I was here to talk about more politics in general, not just the Prince specifically.
Well, actually, I would like to discuss some of your famous quotes. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I love talking about politics.
How about we start with your quote, "It is better to be feared rather than loved."
Could you remind me which book that's from?
Well, it's from the Prince, of course.
Could you remind me the chapter? It's been a while since I looked through it.
How about I read you the exact quote? You said, "And here comes in the question whether it is better to be loved rather than feared, or feared rather than loved. It might perhaps be answered that we should wish to be both. But since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved."
Okay, I see the confusion. So when you originally said my quote, it kind of made me seem like I thought all leaders should be feared, but I think that leaders should not necessarily be feared, but love is fickle and doesn't last forever. So if you have to choose between fear and love, fear is definitely the safer choice.
So do you think that people should fear and hate their leaders rather than love them?
No, I don't think people should hate their leaders at all. I think leaders should avoid being hated at all costs. But I think when it comes down to love and fear, fear is the better choice.
So in The Prince, you talk more about this, and you seem to be tyrannical, almost crazy.
How have you even read The Prince, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it was published, of course.
What year?
In 1530.
Okay, so I'll be dead by then. I think that, well, if you read The Prince in its entirety, you would have found its true purpose.
Well, I did read The Prince. I mean, I seem to know a lot about you.
Well, in the beginning of The Prince, I have a dedicatory letter to the Medicis, calling the book a prince for his majesty. It's more of a job application, not necessarily a book meant to be read by all of society.
So were you trying to get a job in politics?
I was recently fired, because the government had thought I had done something bad, so they tortured me, and then,
Wow.
and then I wrote The Prince.
Well, could you say that you were in a dark place when you wrote The Prince?
Definitely. Not my normal state of mind. It was more of a hobby to kind of keep my mind off of all the dark things that had happened and help me, get back on track and, avert my focus. Not me at all.
So would you say that The Prince accurately reflects your morals?
No. I think The Prince is more of a description of how to be the perfect leader as one, but definitely not accurately reflects my morals, because I'm more for a Republican government.
I see.
So.
Well, we're going to cut to a commercial break now. So.
Alright, welcome back. We just had to take a quick commercial break and, get a snack or two. Well, now let's continue to talk about your other works and how they describe you as a philosopher.
Perfect.
So how would you consider yourself a philosopher?
No, I actually wouldn't consider myself a philosopher, more of a political thinker and a person who likes politics a lot.
Do you have any other works that don't necessarily reflect your view on politics, or did you only write about politics?
Well, I wrote a few plays, one of them being The Mandrake.
Oh, care to explain the plot of that, or?
Sure. The Mandrake is about a man named Callimaco who is trying to seduce another man, Nicia's wife, Lucrezia. Nicia desperately wants another child, so Callimaco convinces him to give his wife, Lucrezia, a drug that will make her pregnant again, but the first man to have intercourse with her will die.
So it's basically just your ordinary fool play?
Not really. Nicia knows a little bit what's going on. He's not completely oblivious, but he's a little bit dim.
Does it end in a tragedy or a comedy?
I think it's like comedy or satire. The ending, and then Nietzsche gets his child that he wanted, so it's not really a tragedy.
Okay, and you said, so do you have any other works that would you say represent your political views more accurately as opposed to The Prince?
Yeah, sure. Since you brought up the Prince, why don't we discuss the discourses on Livy? This is like completely different from the Prince.
Oh, okay. Can you explain what they're about?
Well, while the Prince is more about a tyrant ruler and a monarchy, the discourses on Livy is more about a republic where people have more power.
Okay, so would you say you agree with a republic or a monarchy?
Well, to do some of my research, I actually traveled to France and observed the French monarchy while I was working with the government. Um, the French monarchy was kind of the ideal monarchy, but it's still not as good as a republic where the people have all the say, or where people have a lot of the say. So I would say that I think a republic is the best option for the government.
So what do you think is so great about the French monarchy that a perfect republic would have to mimic?
Well, while most monarchies have a king and some sort of nobility, the French monarchy has a parliament too, which helps keeps the king in check, so he can't just do whatever he wants.
Okay, so what would you say is the ideal government? Well, why wouldn't our government be able to function under a monarchy?
Well, our government is basically not it's a republic, so people have more of a say. And under a monarchy, the king has all the say, and it's not freedom for the people. So our government definitely wouldn't be able to function under that.
Oh, I see. So the discourses of Livy basically describe the ideal government.
Well, yes, what I assume is the ideal government, which is a republic.
Cool, cool. Do you have any conclusions that you would like to make?
Yes. I strongly believe that a republic is the best system of government as opposed to what I said in The Prince. As I mentioned before, I was in a pretty dark place when I wrote that, and it's more of a satire, not really what I believe. So, in fact, when there is combined under the same constitution a prince, a nobility, and the power of the people, then these three powers will watch and keep each other reciprocally in check, and I really believe that.
Cool, cool. Thanks for talking with us and traveling all these years to come see and give us an explanation of your opinion.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really great talking about politics. I love talking about politics.
Yes. We know.